So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whenever you listen to this. This is Matthew Bailey alongside my critique and partner in crime, Ricardo Medina.
Hello, hello, hello.
And this is another episode of BS Beats and Bailey. So, yeah, boy, not too much to talk about today, but we have quite a few things to discuss, though.
Right.
One thing being a particular local film that won a couple of awards, actually, for Best Trinidad and Tobago feature film, for one thing.
Right.
And People's Choice Award, for Best Feature Film Narrative.
Okay.
That would be Green Days by the River, the debut feature film from Michael Mulidar. So I checked it out on the day it opened in theaters.
Right.
And right after that, as a true patriot, I checked out American Made, which is the latest collaboration between director Doug Liman and actor extraordinaire Tom Cruise. So see, I make sure to watch the local film, the Trini film, before I watch the American film. That's how much I support my local. I also checked out A&E, which is a station I haven't watched in a long while. Their latest documentary, one that I've been hearing a lot of great buzz about. And it's based on my favorite dead rapper of all time, the Notorious B.I.G. Of course, I'm talking about Biggie, the life of Notorious B.I.G. And before we start things, well, with our preamble, which we normally do, we had to talk about that season 43 premiere of Saturday Night Live, which aired last night at the time of this recording.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you get around to watching that season premiere? Or
I was also watching it last night. I kind of catch some of it later today when he running online. Only as Ryan Gosling and Jay-Z. I only watch it just to see a couple of Jay-Z performances.
Me too. That was the main reason why I checked it out. Not so much Ryan Gosling, even though I know he's a great actor and he's going to be in Blade Runner 2049. But I really want to see
I watched the opening bit. It was like, well, the thing with SNL's a show I usually defend, and mostly for logistical reasons more than like actual talent and comedy reasons. But yeah, that opening bit was just so unfunny for me.
You talk about with Alec Baldwin as Donald Trump.
Right.
I just felt that it ran too long.
It fell flat, and I'll admit, like I just so tired of Alec Baldwin as Donald Trump. Sorry to say it. I don't know why people.
The man won an Emmy for this, sir. He won an Emmy for this.
And yet Darrell Hammond isn't Donald Trump for some reason, and he's like a pretty unfunny Trump in my opinion. But he get the Emmy, however, he get good makeup. That's it.
And the face he does, that little face is funny at times.
The person who is the current host, not the current host, the current voiceover for it is Darrell Hammond, a former cast member. Okay. And he is, to me, the real quintessential. He was like the best Donald Trump by far now. Trump himself even said that. From what I understand, Trump himself argues that he prefers Darrell Hammond and he finds we call him Alec Baldwin, just kind of doing it in a mean-spirited fashion, which I kind of understand maybe. And to me, I prefer Darrell Hammond to this. But he just looked the part, just doing the facial mannerisms, and that's it.
Right.
But Darrell Hammond did it so much better. I was like, okay, whatever. But as usual, the bit, it really ran its course, in my opinion. Still, well, I get why he won the Emmy because, Trump is unpopular, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Right. And then the opening bit was not funny. It was just kind of making fun of the whole Puerto Rico scenario.
Yeah, it was.
Right. And then I didn't follow up because I watched the opening bit with Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone.
Yeah.
And that was
incredible. As a special guest. Yeah.
Right. And that was incredibly unfunny. So I was like, I just gonna skip it.
Yeah, to me, that was another skit that ran a little too long, the opening. Because it's like, all right, the joke is, I save jazz. That's the whole gimmick. I save jazz. Okay. So it's fine when you're on the when you're in front of the piano making fun of it, but then when you had to go to the actual band behind and say, well, this is where it all started from and blah blah blah. It's like, all right, pick it up, and then Emma Stone just came and I was like, okay, yes, it's done. Let's start the show. You know what I mean?
It just ran way too long because it's the same joke now. They could have just make one bit joke. Okay, I save jazz and then you move on. Yeah, it'll be a decent enough laugh and then oh god, all right, whatever.
But I had a few skits that actually stood out to me. Actually, one that a lot of people have been really hyping up, tweeting. Sorry,
right.
One right afterwards that was with Kate McKinnon.
Right.
Forgot the other lady though. I forgot though. But it's basically her, that other lady, and Ryan, and they just basically alien
All right,
abductees and
the
that kind
alien
of stuff.
abduction bit. Yeah, that's a recurrent bit, which is not bad. Where you'll have right. The joke is two people have relatively nice or really or inspiring experience, and then the old
Yeah,
woman, which is played
and
by
Kate
Kat,
is just over the
right? They're
top.
saying how it's the complete opposite, and that's doing this like this kind of they're kind of treating her like the side woman, and she being generally treated terribly. That's a joke.
Yeah,
It's all right. Again, another all right bit. It's kind of fluctuates for me. Whatever.
yeah. But the one thing that had me going though was how you could tell that Ryan was trying his best not to laugh.
Not to laugh
Because
here.
there's a part where Kate is like grabbing his ass there. I could literally see him, even though his back is to the camera. You could literally
Right.
see him trying to hold back his laughter though.
Yeah.
There are tons of moments in this season premiere where it's like, yeah, this man going to crack up laughing, but he's like
Right.
trying to hold it
Yeah.
back there.
Right. Okay.
There were a couple other skits that I liked though. There was the Levi's woke jeans. I thought that was excellent.
Okay.
That's basically this them making this sort of, basically how like especially in our generation where people don't want to be tied down by labels, especially with gender
Right.
and all that kind of stuff. So you have this kind of gender specific kind of jeans basically. So it's really baggy now and it doesn't even have a particular color. So it's just
Right.
there so anybody could wear it, whether you're adult or
Right.
child.
Yeah, and
and
they're
it's,
making fun of the whole SJW stuff.
Yeah, and it's all
Of
woke, man. It's
being
woke.
too right.
Yeah, we woke, man.
Right. But
Yes.
because that one of the big problems with that kind of left wing quote unquote wokeness is that you kind of make nobody happy. So the product itself probably looking like crap, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Right. What else? Well, the performances were the two performances. Sorry,
Right.
by Jay-Z, I thought were great. I
Yeah.
really preferred the Bam performance with
Right.
with Damian Julian Gong Mali.
Yeah, that was a pretty good
yeah,
one.
boy, that man dreads, boy. Wow.
Yeah.
just this close to touching that floor, boy. Jeez, boy.
Yeah.
Props to that fella in the back who was just swinging that Jamaican flag, boy.
Right.
I don't know, for like 4 minutes straight.
Yeah. Well,
Performance, he get points for that.
I mean, look, it's a flagman who could do that shit whole night, so.
The 444 performance was really good as well. Like I
Right.
get that Jay-Z was trying to go for a more not so much heartfelt, but more of an emotional approach to the actual performance.
Right.
But it kind of looked awkward at first because he was right up close to the mic, and then
Right.
like he was doing the whole chocolate rain thing where you don't want to, like, every time you're gonna take a breath or you're gonna exhale, he shifts his head now quickly and then goes back to the mic now. So at
Right.
first it's kind of weird now, but then when the beats had to go along and you really heard the whole emotion in his voice now, it's like, oh,
Right.
okay, he's trying to be a little bit more intimate though. Kind of weird,
Right,
but
right.
still intimate. It would, but it just took a while for me to really get into it.
Right.
A couple of the other skits kind of didn't work, but I was just laughing at how nonsensical they were.
There's one last skit that kind of was noticeable again. This is with well, Weekend Update is always generally okay and not that bad. It was alright this week.
Yeah, the first half was really good.
Right.
But then it decided to drag, and then they
Right.
brought
Yeah.
in
Usual
Ryan and
usual
it just
SNL
dragged some
usual
more.
SNL shit.
Yeah. Although props to
skit-
Michael Che for throwing
Right.
out those those Trump jokes though. Those
Right,
remarks
yeah,
about
usual-
his response to
Right.
Puerto Rico and stuff. Yeah,
Right.
that was
And
great.
then this debate with Avatar wasn't half bad. I thought that was
Oh,
a
well,
clever enough premise.
Okay, that particular skit took me. That was
Yeah,
probably the best.
Just making
skit
fun of
to
the
me.
font.
It was so incredibly funny. Like,
Yeah.
I did not expect to laugh as hard as I did, but I would say hands down, this is the funniest sketch I've seen in that particular episode.
Right.
It just it just touched on this particular point that, I don't know, maybe if you kind of hate Avatar, you'll probably say, well, Avatar just copies so much, why couldn't I get another font to do the title with? But how they make this thing like this literal trailer now, I thought
Right.
that was next to perfect for me. So I
Right.
love that. The other skits, like there was one with it's this kind of film noir parody where it's like where Ryan was playing this bank robber, whatever, this criminal, and he in love with this chicken, but the chicken is played by oh gosh, I forget the fat girl's name.
Eddie Bryan.
Yeah, right. Her. Yeah, it was real nonsensical, but I was laughing at it. There was
Right.
one about Pizza Hut and there's different ones, but those ones were like just laughing at how nonsensical they were. But the whole
Right.
the Avatar one or the papyrus one, that to me that to me was like the best skit in that whole episode, hands up. It's a shame that I can't watch the video on YouTube because they block the video in certain countries. So,
YouTube is always block SNL, so
yeah, so script. Whatever. I don't know. I just kind of have this kind of hate thing now with YouTube because just so you know, I didn't tell you this Ricardo, but the last podcast that we did when I put it up on YouTube, yeah, got another copyright strike, man.
Okay.
Yes, I don't know if it had to do with the fact that maybe I talk bad about Neo Yokio because I find it weird that every time I talk about some kind of Asian American product that's
last time it was because
Netflix,
right.
Even though I didn't see Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon 2 on Netflix, but
but we saw it earlier, so
so it's, and in English too. No, sorry, and in Chinese too. So
yeah,
I don't know, maybe I just need to stick to American products on Netflix. I don't know, but whatever. Moving on.
It's a quinky dink.
Yeah, it's a quinky dink. Sorry.
Scene. All right.
Anything else to talk about? How can I forget though? Well, before I forget, we have to say rest in peace to D-Man Hugh Hefner.
Oh yes.
The originator.
I almost forgot about that.
Who made nudity and just the female figure, empowered so much women. Even though, of course, you could say, you could argue, it's smut and it's porn, but no.
Right.
It's not.
Well, he's an interesting figure in between. I mean, you can't mention the sexual revolution in the United States without him.
Of course.
But at the same time, it had its dark side, and he's kind of contributed a lot towards that. So it's up to you how you want to look at the man. In my opinion, I actually think he was generally a force for good. Personally, he was, because the running joke, you buy it for the articles. Well, genuinely had good articles in the magazine.
Okay.
That's not why I bought it.
I've never
It's not why most people bought it, but it was for the most part pretty solid journalism and interviews and whatnot for the most part. Actually had good articles. But he was one of those the trying to be the whole gentleman mix with the, and kind of started the whole concept of the playboy, the term playboy itself. And he was even back when he had his own. This is when the magazine came out, but a lot after that, like about 10 years after that, he had his some interesting late night talk shows. This is when he was in Chicago. This is back when Playboy was in Chicago, long before it moved to Los Angeles. It was a big, he tapped into something that was really interesting. Other people replicate his stuff, but in the worst way. Like, they didn't get why Playboy worked because it had for the lack of a better term, a kind of classiness to it that worked better than thing. Is the distinction between erotica and porn.
Yes,
and he was more on the side of erotica, quote unquote. Very, very few people knew how to balance that, and he was like the person who tapped into it and reached a quote unquote apotheosis with the American psyche. Not like Larry Flint or somebody else who was more on the low brow end of things.
Exactly.
It's middle brow erotica, and then you read the articles after you bust a nut, right? So
right, yeah.
But he was a really interesting figure in many ways. He's somebody that I have to say I have a lot of mixed feelings about, and some interesting backstories. Like it'll be interesting to see when they do the biopic for him, how it'll play itself out.
Yeah, I'd actually love to see a biopic for this. I wouldn't be surprised if they have one in the near future, because if they could do a film for Larry Flint, remember the people versus Larry Flint, then why not on Hugh Hefner, you know what I mean? Right,
well, Hugh Hefner, they're allowed to do like the whole life and do a Citizen Kane something, and
definitely.
One likely it'll be in a good light. There's some really fascinating things about him, like he was a big, this is one of the good things about him. He's a big lover of animals.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so he was, it's apparently this is a true story. I thought it was something I heard, I remember years ago, I thought it was fake. Apparently it was real, where his dog died, and when the dog was dying, he gave it his favorite blanket. The dog died on the blanket, and the parents demanded to burn it, and he was so angry about burning the blanket. He apparently never forgave his parents for that. And the blanket had rabbits on it.
Wow.
Yeah, which is really, really strange. That's his rosebud apparently.
Yeah. I was just imagining that I was just thinking about the music, for the end of Citizen Kane.
Right.
That when you see Rosebud reveals, like, wow.
Yeah. Right. So apparently, that was apparently the inspiration behind the symbol behind the Playboy bunny thing. So okay.
Oh.
Right. That's what I say. It had rabbits on it. That's the connection. I thought you had to make the link. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Derp. Yeah.
Yeah. So he a fascinating figure. Little interesting things about him. He again, when it comes to sexuality, again on the fence about it. Some people think it's a magazine that totally disrespected women. Other people say no, women was free up. But then it had a lot of women that say no, he was a kind of a bad guy in the sense of trapping women, and a lot of women did this, and it had a lot of interesting weird stuff that went on in the mansion back, the 70s and 80s, and then you get kind of too old by the 90s, and by the time the late 90s roll around, the internet came along. That is when the beginning of the end was.
Yeah.
For that magazine. It's quite strange how that whole situation played out. So that's about it.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, a couple things though, just on Hugh. Yeah, I mean, for me, I would always remember him for his appearances on television. Now, case in point, that classic episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where
I remember that. Yeah.
Uncle Phil and the gang got invited to go to the Playboy Mansion, and there was this whole thing about Hillary wanting to pose, and Uncle Phil was like, no, you can't do that. That's against our rules and all that kind of stuff now.
Because she was the weather girl, yeah.
Yeah, and of course the television series. Which was, I think it was about the girls of the actual ranch itself. Right,
because he had well, I'm not really too clear on how this played out, but he apparently had multiple wives. I'm not sure how polygamy laws played out for him to manage that. I was unclear about that.
Right.
And I really followed it, but apparently it was his 3 wives and just these 3 blonde women, young, kind of, well, at least how they came across as basically kind of proto-Kardashian, airheady types. And it's just kind of strange to watch that whole thing play out. Again, by then, it started to become kind of ridiculous, him being that old. He became, it was kind of hard to, a lot of people started look down upon him. He's like, all right, time to wrap it up, dude. No way.
It's like, you're way too old for this, bro. Come on.
Right.
Yes, the chicks are hot, but come on, you're way too old for them, bro.
And the whole paradigm of it was just kind of ended. I mean, as I said, I was, Playboy, as far as quote-unquote pornography went, it was classier, and the girls, pound for pound, he had an eye for women, a good eye for women.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. As I said, but he's a person that, again, interesting figure. Rest in peace. He lived 91. That's a good innings. Can't be mad at.
That's a damn good age to go out.
Yeah, so that's about that.
And yeah, the man came, did his thing, and left, man. So, can't complain.
Right.
So yeah, rest in peace, man.
Right. What else? What else? I think local kind of pseudo-celebrity public figure died, Clive Pantin.
Yes. Actually got the news of that yesterday. Yes, I got the news yesterday though.
Right.
Don't know much about him though, unfortunately. But I do know his his commitment to to Trinidad, to our culture and whatnot.
Right. His brother Archbishop Pantin. That's all I know about him.
Yeah. Another thing in terms of news. Well, sorry.
Yeah. Well, Halt and Catch Fire had an amazing episode 7.
Oh, really? Okay.
That show is wrapping up, and it's wrapping up in a couple episodes. Is episode 10 going to be the final episode ever? But that episode 7, my gosh, powerful, and yeah.
I need to catch up on that.
Yeah, catch up with the show. I still recommend the show. It's really, really well done. A lot of people slept on the show, but I did not. I was hyping the show since the show started.
Mm-hmm.
You know that.
Yes.
And yeah, that episode 7, season 4. Goddamn.
Yeah. And also too, well, at the time of this recording here, we are looking forward to the season 3 finale of Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
And what's even funny is
season 3 was really, really surprising and well done.
It was.
Episode 9 was really, really good. The whole thing with Bet.
And I actually particularly like the open ending that they had there. Did Bet leave or did she stay? That kind of thing. So
you're not sure, right? Not
too sure.
He did the clone. Rick gave off, opt out. Interesting kind of thing going on there.
And some people imply the machine at the end, by the way, was hilarious. I love it.
Yeah. So I would like to see what they were doing in the season finale. Apparently, again, the the lead-ins and the promo ads for them are big fake outs, I think, much like with that episode. I think it's episode 7, right?
Episode 7, yeah.
Yeah, a big fake out. I think because they mentioned Rick, and they keep saying the president, but they show the first black president voiced by Keith David now.
Right.
In the promos, so it's like, that's a big fake out. Rick versus the president. I don't know what they're gonna do. It'll be interesting what they're gonna do with this. I don't know what they're gonna do with the finale. We'll find out. Bird persons will have to come back. Well, they had to do the whole Tammy and Phoenix person and the whole they call it that whole clash with the big Galactic Empire versus the Rick. Well,
the Citadel, right?
No, not the Citadel, the Galactic Empire. What Rick destroyed. That
Oh,
Rick
right.
turned from 1-0.
Premiere, right.
Right, and then of course the Citadel with evil Morty in charge, and then our Rick, our Morty had to sort that shit out. Whatever. I'm excited to see what's going on. Oh, I wanted to talk about something before. I should have mentioned this, but we could have done a review of it. A game that was really, really hyped by many
games.
people.
You know, we haven't talked about games.
Yeah, well, a game. The thing is, I really take my time. I take my time in line. But a game that finally came out, I was really hyped for. That I got a game called Cuphead.
The funny thing is, like, just before we actually started recording, one of my friends on Facebook actually said, y'all need to play this game.
Yeah,
that particular game, Cuphead, and I was like, okay.
Cuphead is really. It's basically this. Well, what it is, it's what I call a shmup.
Say what? What is that?
A shmup is just a term for shoot 'em up.
My kind of shit, right?
So it's Metal Slug, Contra, that kind of game. Nice. And what it is, what's the big sell for the game is the visuals. The visuals of the game is really, really brilliant. It does everything in its old timey cartoon style. All these really, really weird and fascinating bosses. And this game is tough as nails. The game is kind of kick your ass a little bit if you're not careful.
Dumb question. It's available on PC, so I could.
Yes.
Is it like I could download it and play it, that kind of thing?
Yeah, just go on Steam. You should be able to find it. It's actually quite cheap. You should be able to get it relatively cheap, and it's on PC. You'll be able to get that. The game is really, it's really simple, but to play and pick up. But then when it's time to actually get in the business of the game, I have a couple issues with the controls. I would have preferred if the dash control is not a separate dash button, but forward. I would have preferred that.
Right.
And I would have preferred if they give me mouse commands to play with instead of entirely on keyboard or with a controller, because I haven't touched a controller in ages. I don't think I touched a controller since probably Gears of War 3 came out, which is a long time ago. Like
I haven't touched one in a long.
Right. I don't think I touched a gamepad in ages. And then this game is the first game since probably the first Hotline Miami that had me actually concentrating. Like usually games just have to usually I get most games it's relatively easy and straightforward. If you don't care about the story, like a lot of games I find myself not caring about the story, I will just sit down and just play the game and just listen to a podcast in the background or something.
I know you are that type. Yeah. Right.
I'll just play usually games like most of my shooters or whatever it is that I kind of get accustomed to by now. I could just kind of kick the game ass without kind of focusing on it 100%. But this game is kind of kick the ass because it's not pure Twitch in terms of its movements. It's not like pure Twitch like Metal Slug or Contra. It's timing. There's a lot of timing in the mechanisms of the game, because there's what you call a parry mechanism, and what that means is that you'll have a object. The object will be glowing pink, and then your character could jump, and if it jumps a second time, you'll do this like rotation in the air with a pink, like a pink kind of slash swirl kind of thing. And if you hit the item with that parry weapon, you can build up your super attack much faster now. So you just want to go after that and get it. And parrying, doing what you call the parry attack, allows you to get more points in the final score now. So you kind of want to go after it, but you can't just get too close. If you get too close and you parry, you'll parry too late and not hit it, and you'll end up getting damage. That is what is throwing you off, because the game is not pure Twitch and dodge Twitch now. It's timing and it have a little bit of delay in your movements and attacks and these kind of things. So that's where your skill is coming. The game is badass. Another thing I kind of slightly don't really care for is that the game don't really have too many levels to run through. It's more bosses. You just have to fight straight, and I find you have way too many bosses. I'd have preferred if you have a level and then fight these bosses, but whatever, it's fine. Game is fun as hell.
Sounds interesting, actually.
The visuals is the big sell. When the game first revealed itself, I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. It's a while. It has been, they've been making this game a long time, and not since probably Shovel Knight it had a big indie game that was just got this much hype. And it totally lives up to the hype. It's an excellent score. I myself would probably give it like an 8 out of 10 so far. I've been really enjoying it. I reached each second major level, so I'm fighting this like Egyptian guy kind of thing going on. The game, I haven't been playing it that much because I should have. The game isn't that long, but it's tough. So cool. The game worth talking about, I think. A lot of damn fun.
Well, for me, I really need to get back into gaming. I was actually telling myself, I haven't played a game, like an actual video game, in a long while. It's just movies and catching up on TV shows. I need to play some games, man.
Yeah, I don't think this game will be too taxing on your system either. So you should
I
be
was
able
about
to.
to ask you that, yeah.
Yeah, anybody can run it. I think, as far as
Because
I know. I don't think
I
it's
don't have the snappiest
right. Nah, but
system
to
out
me,
here.
if you're running Premiere, sorry, you run Premiere, right? And you can edit on Premiere, right?
Yes.
Right. Well, then you should be able to run this. I think at least.
Okay,
Uh,
sure. And that's 2017 CC Adobe Premiere I'm
right,
running on.
right, right,
So,
right.
yeah.
So you should be fine. Yeah, I don't think the game should be taxing. Some people claim that the machine can run the game. I was like, what? That don't make any sense to me. Whatever.
Okay.
I have no idea what the engine is or whatever it is, but it's just those animations. It's pretty badass. Well, I don't tell you what the animations are about. It's these old timey, those old slicer cartoons type animations.
So
Everything
more
all
like
weird.
what like not 80s stuff, but more
No, old, like
like 40s, 50s kind of thing.
40s, 50s, yeah, old
Ooh.
Popeye cartoons, old like that old.
Okay.
And everything is that style of cartoon where everything gets this kind of weird fever dream.
All right, I
Look
am
terrible.
intrigued by this. I am intrigued.
Yeah, that is what the big sell
Yeah.
is. It looked great, and there's a big hype. The game is fun. If you're not a Twitch person, because I'm a kid who I played all 4 or 5 Contra games, including Contra for the Sega, which is the best one, kids, for me. And I'm a big Metal Slug person. I think I played
Me
out
too,
almost
me too.
all. I played out all the Metal Slug as well.
I think I played the majority, nearly all of them myself. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, for me, Metal Slug X is still the best. Metal Slug 3 is also quite good.
3 was a kick to my ass. 3 just
Yeah.
takes forever. 2 is my
Three-
favorite.
Three is a
And,
kick
well,
out
2
a
and
lot.
5 are my all-time favorites.
Right. But yeah, this for the most part, this just a lot of it works. The game is right up your alley in that way. If you like that, you'll love this. And yeah, I recommend Cuphead. Is worth talking about.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that that short but very sweet gaming review. I'm actually gonna I'm gonna make the effort to play this one out, and
Right.
hopefully I could say this is probably one of the best games I've played. Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
I can't in good conscience say I do a proper review of it because I haven't finished it. I just like halfway through the game.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll jump to now to movie reviews, if you will. So we'll start off with a documentary that came out last week on A&E, which is a station that I haven't watched in a long while.
Yeah. What's A&E stand for? Art and Entertainment. That was like the one.
I think that's what it's still.
Wow. And they don't call it that because they had to do all this corporate bullshit that a lot of the corporate hackery that went down in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
assume it's still called Arts and Entertainment, right?
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is a documentary called Biggie, The Life of Notorious B.I.G, which I
Right.
said before the beginning of this recording here, is based on the life of my all-time favorite dead rapper, I should say.
Right.
Yeah. I am a huge fan of of Biggie, of the Notorious B.I.G.
Yeah.
His debut album, Ready to Die, remains in my top 5 favorite albums of all time.
Yeah.
And if you guys remember, a few months ago, I actually covered his second and final album, final studio album, Life After Death. I did a track-by-track review of that. And it's amazing that a documentary like this came out, this year, 2017, because, like I said with that review, it pretty much is the 20th anniversary of the murder, still unsolved murder of
Right.
Notorious B.I.G, aka Christopher Wallace, right?
Right.
And this documentary here, which is directed by Mark Ford, is pretty much doing the same technique what Tupac Resurrection did back in 2003, which was partly, not mostly, because in Tupac Resurrection, they used these vocal snippets from interviews that they did with Tupac, and he pretty much narrated his own life story throughout the duration of the movie. But here, you hear his voice like from certain interviews, but these are for like certain moments in his life. But we also get interviews from some of the people that he was the most close to, like Faith Evans, his wife, well, former wife I should say. I'll get to her in a bit. Lil Cease, if you remember him from
Yeah.
Junior Mafia. Of course, Sean P. Diddy, and I call him Diddy. Yeah, P. Diddy Combs, of course, he's
Yeah.
been interviewed. Of course, we have Valletta Wallace,
Right.
and I'm really glad that she, is there in this film now because, like with Tupac, for example, and the whole controversy behind the movie, All Eyes on Me, which I was pretty fair to, Tupac's mother, Afeni Shakur, was not alive around the time when he actually made the film. So
Right.
it was a whole issue, and I remember John Singleton, who initially wanted to make the film, but there was some kind of politics and drama that was going on, so he didn't. He decided not to. He didn't get himself involved in it. No, but essentially he was close to Tupac for years now. And just fun fact, I forgot to mention this in my All Eyes on Me review. I'll get back to Biggie. Um, Initially for Baby Boy, which starred Tyrese,
Yeah.
the first person that John had in mind to play the character from the protagonist in Baby Boy was Tupac.
Right.
He actually had that project that
Right.
ready there,
Right.
but then he got
Okay.
killed back in
Right.
'96, and it was like, all right, I had to put that in the back burner. And then finally, I think
Right.
it's in 2001, he actually
Yeah.
said, well, all right, well, let's get Tyrese, who is from LA as well. Let's just
Right.
cast that character. And if you remember in the movie, in his bedroom, you see this poster of Tupac behind his
Right.
bed, his bed itself. But anyway,
Yeah.
so back to Biggie now. So right, so basically, this film talks about his life. We see his upbringing when he was born. How he ended up attending this Catholic school when he was a kid, and then coming out of it and trying to stay in high school. He got tempted by the whole drug dealing lifestyle that was literally right outside his door. And of course, as you know, he started selling drugs and stuff like that. He tried to keep it on the wraps so his mom wouldn't know about it. Funny thing is, they don't mention when he got arrested, because they actually show it in the movie where he got arrested. He mentioned that before in one of his songs, Unready to Die, but they kind of skimmed through that. But anyway, so basically here we talk about the show, where he meets up with this particular DJ, and he starts doing these little songs, basically like mixtapes, really,
Right.
but just him kind of fine tuning his rapping skills, basically. And the film just pretty much follows from there. He his music, well, at least his freestyles, if you will, catches the ears, of Sean P. Diddy Combs, who at the time was working with Uptown Records. And then he signed him on. He brought out his first single, which was Party and Bullshit. And then from there, it was just, literally as a song that he did, the sky was the limit from there. His career started off
Right.
from there. And then, of course, he was talking about how popular he got, especially within New York. Now, he was like this presence in New York. Now, everybody knew about him. Everybody was just amazed by him. And he ended up getting this whole King of New York moniker, because he literally carried he carried New York on his back now. Remember, this is the only time when West Coast hip hop, which was being revolutionized, if you will, by Dr. Dre, was being was rather popular at that time now. So
Right.
when Biggie comes, it's like a breath of fresh air, and it can inspire other MCs, even before he got big now, to do the same thing. So he inspired Nas. Nas, by the way, gets a couple of interview moments, a couple of talking head scenes. Same thing
Yeah.
with Jay-Z as well, who is primarily influenced by Biggie. His style, he kind of shaped his own
Yeah. Yeah.
his own persona, and of course they collaborated a couple of times on Wax. They also touch on the rivalry between Tupac and Biggie. We do see how they started. They had a friendship, basically, but how that friendship basically got messed up because of what
Yeah.
happened with the shooting when Tupac got shot, and he pretty much blamed Biggie and his entourage for that. Primarily because he felt that because they were in this particular floor doing the music now. So
Right.
while Tupac was being accosted at and shot at, he didn't see Biggie. He didn't see him or his crew come to help out now. So Lil C's kind of explained that around the time when he heard the shots, he came
Right.
downstairs, and then there was this guy who was at the elevator who pretty much had him put him up on gunpoint and tell him go back in the
Right.
elevator now. So it's how Tupac misread it, and that whole issue from there. And then of course his paranoia, Biggie's paranoia, I should say, him being scared about this whole about being shot at and whatever. And then of course the East Coast West Coast feud that the media so blatantly trivialized now, till it was just out of control. And then
Right.
of course that fateful night in March 9th, 1997, when unfortunately Christopher Wallace died. He got shot.
Yeah.
So with this film here, what I really love, well, for one thing, they're saying here, I'm reading the ATV's synopsis on it. This is actually the first biography to be authorized by his estate, and
Right.
it was to be his most personal and revealing documentary that anybody has ever seen on Biggie. And for the most part, I thought that it achieved that. There was some things that I, for one, did not know about him. I didn't hear about certain things through interviews. I didn't hear about certain things through his songs, and even with that movie that came out back in 2009. So it's just refreshing to hear certain things about his life that we didn't know. Some good things, some
Right.
bad things, some funny things. For one thing that was really amazing was when they touched on Faith Evans, and how they always spin her character now. Well, if you're familiar with Faith Evans, she was an artist who was signed on to Bad Boy Records, and then it's like love at first sight when she first saw Biggie, and then I believe it's like 3 weeks later, Biggie proposed to her, and then it's like, all right, let's get married now. But from Faith's perspective now, she openly admits that yeah, they kind of rush into things too
Right.
quickly. They could have taken some time to know each other. Faith did not like the fact that he was always so a womanizer. He was always looking for an excuse to go in some hotel room with some random woman.
Yeah.
There's even a moment where she talks about one moment where she was trying to call Beginner, and then he say how he can't come right now, he can't come back home. He had this hotel room basically, and no, sorry, this is right. So basically, what happened is that he said that he invited this girl to stay by him at the hotel room. It was just
Right.
that she had no place to go, so it's just like, all right, well, she's spending the night by Minna.
Right.
So she knocking on the door, and then she kind of pick up on what going on there. Bust through the door, and the girl is there. Well, sorry, she knocks on the door. The girl answers. The thing is, she didn't know at the time that she was still at the hotel room. And yeah, Fate kind of beats the shit out of her, like literally.
Right.
You know what I mean? So just hearing that from her was pretty amazing. And even Lil Cease was like, "Yeah, that happened. Fate did beat the shit out of this girl, now."
Right.
And then another thing that was quite revealing to me was how she talked about the arguments that they had, where she was throwing out his clothes and all that when they actually rented out this apartment that they were going to live in, and the arguments that they had. One of which in particular stemmed from an interview with Lil Kim, and in case you're wondering, no, Lil Kim is not. She wasn't interviewed in this film. It was actually had a couple of like vocal snippets from interviews that she did. So, well, for those who don't know, actually, Lil Kim and Junior Mafia are no longer together. She actually said that on record, where she kind of just done with them now. I'm not sure what it is caused that division between them, but yeah, Lil Kim is on her own. She don't really want anything to do with Junior Mafia anymore now. You know.
Right.
So yeah, so she's not in the interview. She's not being interviewed and whatnot. But they do talk about her now, and they kind of hint that maybe she was the one who kind of got in the middle of Faith and Biggie's relationship to begin with.
Right.
How they kind of spin it now, but then Lil Kim was saying about how she knew Biggie from way back when, even before he met before he met Faith, and all these kind of stuff. But anyway, it's not so much about digging dirt and whatnot. It's really about a celebration about his life and what he managed to do in the 25 years of life that he was he was on this earth now. There's some genuinely heartfelt moments with his mom. There's this one scene where she's looking at this really 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 dope mural that this somebody, I don't know who it is, actually painted on the side of this apartment building. She talked about how she was actually invited one time to one of his concerts, because at the time she never really liked rap. She never really supported him doing rap, but it was more like, okay, it's either this or he just goes back to the streets selling drugs. So she talked about this one night where Biggie actually invited her to come to this concert, and even though she didn't really quite enjoy the concert, she was still impressed and amazed that her son was able to do all this stuff there. And it really and truly is when he died, unfortunately, is when it really hit her how influential and how impactful his music was there. That was a shame. Um, but yeah, for what it's worth, I mean, this film itself doesn't do too much, and it doesn't really. It's not so much a groundbreaking documentary, but it really
Right.
does highlight, how influential this guy was. and really his come up and how well basically the struggle. 'Cause I mean, it wasn't easy for him, but it's just because he had that raw talent as an MC. He was able to go places, and he was able to do things. But just unfortunately, because of the whole East Coast West Coast feud, and yes, they do touch on that. They do highlight Suge Knight and that infamous night at the Source Awards where he took shots at Biggie and P Diddy, you know, in their hometown, by the way, which was even more insulting. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so yeah, they touch on all these things. The film itself clocks in at about 2 hours and a minute. So yeah, literally 2 hours and 1 minute.
Right.
And I felt that they covered a lot. They don't cover too much, but I was never bored. I was always entertained. I was always intrigued by what was going on. And like I said, it doesn't do anything groundbreaking. There are certain things that I already know about Biggie, and that's just off of certain interviews and the movie and stuff like that. But still, it was great that at least they were able to focus on certain things that I didn't even know. So that was great. So overall, I would give this a strong 3.5 out of 5 stars. This is an excellent documentary. If you know little to nothing about the Notorious B.I.G, I strongly recommend that you give this a look. If you are familiar with him, through his music or his movies or whatever. Well, sorry, through the biopic movie that came out back in 2009. I still say give this one a look. You may say, what, I know these things already. I know half of the stuff already, but still,
Yeah.
it does cover a bit of new ground, and the new ground that is covered, I thought was really interesting, and it really added a bit more layers, I should say, to this character of the Notorious B.I.G. So yeah, by all means, man, give this one a look.
All right, no problem.
All right, so continuing on with another biopic of sorts, I'm gonna talk about American Made.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was supposed to see this, but I couldn't find time, and
shame on you.
Yeah, I couldn't find time. So I was either this or what's the other movie that was supposed to come out? There was supposed to watch
Flatliners.
Flatliners, yeah. I saw Flatliners got a rubbish score, so I didn't care about that at all.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even hear anything
this
much about that movie.
I heard. So I saw another review that everybody liked it for. With this, I saw another review. I watched that, and it was kind of well received in that review. So I should have gone see it, but nah. I just had only time to see one movie this weekend, unfortunately. So
yes. We will get to that movie in a bit.
Take it away, Matthew, because I didn't have time to see this.
All right.
I had to go catch this whenever.
Yeah. So American Made is a film that is based on the life of somebody that honestly, because I know some, or I don't want to say a lot of Americans probably are familiar with the story and this man. So it centers on the life and times of Barry Seal, who was a former pilot for TWA Airlines.
Yeah.
And it's played by Tom Cruise, and I'll just say this right off the bat. He delivers probably one of the best performances in his life, in his career, I should say, hands down. This, to me, is a return to form for Tom Cruise as a non-action star, as probably going for the goal, going for that Oscar goal kind of Tom Cruise that we've experienced every once in a while, but we know him with the Mission Impossible movies and stuff, and in your case, I haven't seen the Mummy yet, but you saw him in the Mummy. But here this was I know it's a hot mess, but here's just him showing us why he is one of the most popular actors out there. But anyway, so back to the story. So onto the story, I should say. So it starts off in the late 70s, and it involves him. He's married. His wife, is played by Sarah Wright. She plays Lucy Seal. The last time I saw her was in Hacksaw Ridge. She was a guy who marries the I'm forgetting the guy's I'm forgetting Andrew Garfield's character's name. And I know it's a simple name, but anyway, right. So in the first 5 minutes of this film, it pretty much sets up how basic and redundant his life is. He flies from place to place. He goes home. He meets his wife. They make love. Blah 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 blah. And it's just this, day to day, week to week, month to month routine kind of thing. I could tell this guy is just kind of fed up of this. He kind of wants to live life on the edge. He kind of wants to do things, on the low. He wants to live life on the edge. You know what I mean? And right off the bat, yeah, I know you're probably thinking Maverick from Top Gun. But I'll talk about Top Gun, and well, I'll
Right,
compare
right,
it to Top Gun in a bit, right?
right. Yeah.
So one day he is contacted by the CIA agent. His name is Monty Schaefer. He's played by Domhnall Gleeson,
Right.
right? And
Donald Wilson. Yeah.
yeah, Domhnall Gleeson, sorry, right?
Yeah.
And they're aware that every once in a while the man is smuggle alcohol and kind of stuff in the plane, you know. It's
Right.
like, all
Right.
right,
Right.
cool. Well, you doing all these things. So why how about working for the CIA for once now? All we just need to do is just fly down to Central America, just take some reconnaissance pictures of some shadiness that's going on there. Just take some pictures and come back. That's all, and we'll pay you. We'll give you a real best, a real dope jet to fly in. Sorry, a plane. Sorry to fly about with, and yeah, you'll make some money on the side. Now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Barry, naive as he is, because he is a very naive individual, he's like, all right, cool, I'll do it, make some money. But the funny thing is, he just quits. He quits his the TWA job altogether and just focuses on that now. So later on, Schaefer asks him to act as a courier, basically, between the CIA and General Noriega, who at the time is in Panama.
Yeah. Yeah.
And during a mission now, well, Noriega and his cartel were the Medellin cartel, basically. I think that's how you pronounce it. Right.
Yeah. That was the cartel that was
in Narcos, right?
not Narcos. Well, Narcos, but the movie that we absolutely loved.
Yes, Sicario.
Sicario. Yeah.
Which, by the way, I recapped because kind of get myself ready for Blade Runner 2049. So
right. Yeah.
yes.
Well, it's a big crime family in South America. The movie is all true. Yeah. Go ahead.
Right. So the Medellin cartel, forgive me if I pronounce it wrong, contacts him one day before he flies back out of the States, and they say, well, we seen you flying back and forth and all that kind of stuff, and you're a really great pilot, we could tell. So smuggle some coke first now, please.
Right.
And he's like, I don't know if it could fit. We have to take into consideration the weight of the plane and all that kind of stuff, and where we actually gonna drop it off, because they like, well, you had to drop it off in Miami. He's like, well, I'm not going to Miami, but he comes up with a plan anyway, and he's like, all right, I'll do it. So yeah, now he's smuggling drugs from Central America to the States now. The CIA, of course, is aware of that, and they say, well, you know what? Well, here's what, right? We have there's this army that's growing in Nicaragua called the Contras, right? So he's like, all right, well, they need some guns now, so here's what. Let me give you some guns and send it to them now. So he's like, all right, cool. I'll send the guns to them.
Is what the Iran Contra, right?
Yes. Well, this is before the Iran Contra.
Oh,
affair.
okay.
This is like
cool.
the beginnings, the seeds that were planted for that. And then right after that, it seems Schaefer was like, well, you know what? We kind of want to teach these guys how to fight now. How to move in combat now. Because they have the guns, but they kind of don't really know what to do with it. They just kind of want alcohol, they want porn, magazines and stuff like that, but they don't really know how to, Oh yes, and they want drugs as well.
Right.
Well, they want to traffic drugs, I should say. But yeah, these guys kind of don't know how to fight now. So here's what: bring these guys over by us. But when I say us, I mean that they actually organize with Barry Seal himself. So there's this big plot of land, this big a large acreage of land,
right.
And the CIA basically kind of buys it out, and well, it's owned by Barry now, but they kind of use that as a front to train these Contra soldiers on how to fight. Of course, you have to keep it on the low because they don't want nobody to know. And I forgot to mention, yes, Barry at this moment is just stinking rich. This man is so rich, the man don't even know where to put money. And that's amusing though. He has so much money, Jay. He don't even know where to put money, right?
Right.
Of course, his wife is real hesitant about it because she knows that he's doing some shadiness. She knows that, but they actually have 2 kids, so it's like, well, you know what? We have kids to feed, man. We have bills to pay, so I'll just go along with it. I don't really like it, but we'll go along with it. And as you would expect with a show like this, yes, Barry kind of goes over his head. He kind of gets in too deep now, and he thinks he's impenetrable. He doesn't think that. He kind of forgets that yes, he is basically a puppet for the CIA. So of course, people. When I say people, I mean like the FBI and even the government itself are aware of what he's up to, and then it's him trying to stay 1 foot, just trying to stay clear of these guys. But of course, they catch up to him and stuff like that. So there's this whole thing now. Well, this whole subplot, sorry, with Lucy's cousin. His name is JB. He's like this real country redneck guy, and it's played by Caleb Landry Jones. A guy who wasn't familiar with, but I actually remember him from First Class, X Men First Class. Sorry, he was the guy
Yeah.
who played Banshee, and he was that creepy dude from Get Out Red. Remember the girl's brother, the one who
Right,
was like
right, right.
real creepy.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
guy,
the brother.
right? That's him. And yeah, he's not too creepy, but yeah, you could tell that man just on shit. You could tell he doesn't know what he's about. He does some really sloppy stuff, especially with the money now, because in a way, technically, it is drug money now. It's illegal money, technically now. So, the whole thing is about just keeping things on the wraps now, not selling out yourself. And that's all I'll say about his character. And yeah, that's pretty much what America Means is about now.
Yeah.
And like I said before, just starting things off, yeah, Tom Cruise gives an excellent performance here. This is probably one of his best performances to date. One thing I like about this show, and I know this probably will turn off a lot of people, but certain critics, with the reviews that I've read from them, you're basically taking this unlikable character, or the way how they play him in this is like he's very naive now. He knows he's doing the wrong thing, but he so loves the thrill of it now. And, it kind of reminds me of well, in a way, his character of Maverick from Top Gun. He loves to be in the air. He loves to be, flying at top speed and all that kind of stuff. He loves the thrill, and that's the kind of thing. He's a thrill seeker, basically. Um, and the subject of that this another Top Gun reference. Yes, this is another film where he actually does a lot of flying. So no, this is probably the one film that in a long, long, long while where I haven't seen him run. You know what I mean? We always make the joke that Tom Cruise have to do some kind of sprint in his movies.
Right, yeah,
But
yeah.
here,
Yeah.
this one, he does not sprint. There's one scene where he actually, where he's actually being chased by the CIA actually, and it's this kind of plane chase actually, and it stops at this suburb, and this kind of ends with him going on this, like, actually stealing this kid's bike and just
Right.
riding on it. Sorry. And that's the closest thing to a chase that we get, but there's no running from him, and I thought that was like a breath of fresh air, really. But
Right.
yeah, but Tom Cruise is so charismatic here. He has this like real kind of shit eating grin, basically, where it's like the man doing bad, it, but it's something about him that you like about him anyway. He has this likability about him, and well, the thing is with me that I'm not familiar with the story at all, so maybe a lot of Americans, I could say, probably know about the story more and will say, well, yeah, he's a bad man. He did all these bad things, you know, you know, shipping drugs and guns, and this was around the time with the war on drugs, and they do highlight it as well with Ronald Reagan and his wife.
Right.
The famous Just Say No campaign. They touch on that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is knowing that an American was doing this, and then even worse is that the CIA was basically allowing this man to do this thing now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even right down to the whole gun running thing now.
Yeah. It's just the general shenanigans of you know uh the war on drugs. One would argue that it was kind of high treason was going on when you find out what went on with the Iran Contra scandal,
Yeah.
and Reagan should have go down. A lot of people can argue that now. So to those who think Trump going to get pulled down by some scandal or the other, sorry, Reagan got away from one of the worst scandals ever.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess your knowledge of this story will kind of make or break this film. But for me, I knew nothing about this character. I knew certain bits of, I knew about the Iran Contra stuff. I knew any war on drugs. I'm familiar with a little bit with Pablo Escobar. I don't know everything about him. And no, in case you're wondering, I have not even got around to watching Narcos. I know it's a great show, just haven't had any time. But for me though, just seeing all this stuff was just really amazing. This is like one of those based on a true story films where you just for the majority of it you can't even believe this happened. It is so absurd now when you think about it. And even Tom Cruise, who kind of narrates the film in this sort of self-aware style, is like, yeah, this is kind of a crazy story. I even he himself can't believe this happened. You can't believe this. Well, I couldn't believe this neither. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, but yeah, Tom Cruise absolutely kills it here. Sarah Wright I thought was great as well. Domhnall
Don't know.
Domhnall Gleeson, who plays Chief, I thought was great as well. He was just so shady, Dredge, so
Right.
shady, Dredge. And he's all smiles and everything, but he's telling people that yeah, well, you're doing this job for us, Dred, but you kind of step out of bounds, Dred, and we will have to deal with you, and your family will be affected.
Right.
He just doing this with a straight face. He might smile every once in a while now, and it's this kind of weird as well now, because this man was involved in a majority of the events that take place here now. It's not so much the CIA as a whole, but just him, and then him getting approval from his superior. But you could tell there were other people in the CIA, who didn't even know that these things were going on, or probably didn't know the extent of these things that were going on now.
Right.
Oh yes, my mistake. The DEA are involved in this film as well. The DEA are the ones that were chasing him in that plane chase that I mentioned earlier, and they do bring up the DEA, and they're war on drugs and all that kind of stuff as well. The
Right.
other characters I thought were great as well. But one thing that I really like about this film, and this is like probably the biggest strength and one of my major gripes with the film, is the pace of it. Because this thing moves at a quick pace now. And this is
Right.
because you're telling so much story in literally under 2 hours now. So the pace of it is quick, and the way how it's shot, the way how it's edited, and the direction, which is done by Doug Liman, who you remember, who did the Born Identity, the first film, and also who directed one of my favorite films from 2015, I believe it came out, Edge of Tomorrow,
Yeah.
which also starred Tom Cruise, right? So just seeing both of them together collaborating on this film was amazing as well. But yeah, if you're familiar with this sort of handheld, filming style and stuff like that, you would be you would see it instantly as soon as the film starts. But if you're kind of annoyed by the whole kind of quick crash zooms and all that kind of stuff, you might be like you might find it a little bit obnoxious. But to me, I felt it kind of added a sort of pseudo documentary style to everything here now. It kind of makes
Right.
it a little bit believable at times. It was like, okay, well, you need to have that zoom in like this, you need to have the camera set up this awkwardly, but I got into it. Like, I know this is Doug's style, and he doesn't overdo it anyway.
Yeah.
um like I said, the pace moves at a quick the film moves at a quick pace, but
Yeah.
oftentimes though, because they're covering so much history and so much events, sometimes things might happen, and then you just kind of jump to another time period or jump to another moment, and you don't really get time to delve, not just thematically but emotionally, on certain things now, because it just moves at such a quick pace. Not too quick, but really, you wish that there were times where the film could have just stopped and just breathe for a moment now, really highlight certain things that's going on, instead of, okay, well, we have to be on this quick pace because this is Barry's life here, and I get that, and I mean,
Yeah.
it works. But sometimes you need certain moments where we can kind of breathe and relax and really get the weight of what's going on, because while everything is kind of played primarily for last, I mean, in a dark comedy kind of way, yeah, shit kind of gets serious really quick as well too. Well, not quick, but it does get serious after a while.
Right.
We do get an idea of how bad the situation is basically, and how into deep this character is, and is basically kind of just dug himself into this hole, and he can't get out, but at the same time he does not want to get out, and it's a shame too. You wish that he was smart enough to figure out, well, yeah, the DA, the FBI are all up in my face, the CIA kind of pulling strings, but maybe I could have just. Oh yes, and how could I forget the cartel as well? Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's crazy, but he just kind of goes on with it because, like I said, he just loves the thrill. But yeah, ultimately it just doesn't work out. That's all I'll say. But for the most part, I personally enjoy this film. I wouldn't say it's probably my top 10 film of the year, but I do see this in my best of. It's not perfect. It is quite enjoyable as well. There was some genuine humor, some dark humor, I should say. And just the story is just so fascinating and interesting, to the point now that now I want to actually learn more about this guy now, about this naive idiot, and how pretty much he was involved in America's war on drugs and all that kind of stuff there. And just
Yeah.
the fact that something like this was made in 2017 and how they were able to expose so much about the American government. Now, it's kind of like the things that they didn't want you to know, the things that the CIA didn't want you to know, and it's in this tightly paced 2 hour movie starring Tom Cruise. It's kind of crazy when you think about it.
Right.
It's not the best movie out there, so some people might look at it and be like, "Yeah, it was fine. Tom Cruise was great, but it's not sure I remember in a hurry." But still, if you enjoyed, if you love Doug Liman movies, if you love Tom Cruise, and if you love these films that are based, in the world of drugs, case in point, like Blow, for example, with Johnny Depp. If you love those type
Yeah.
of films, then yeah, you will have a blast with this one. So for me, I will give this a light 4 to 5 stars. I
Okay.
enjoyed this. I recommend that you check it out. Solid performance from Tom Cruise. I wouldn't say it's Oscar worthy, but if the man get nominated, I kind of wouldn't be surprised. It would be amazing, but I kind of wouldn't be surprised. And solid direction from Doug Liman, and just an overall great time in the movie. So by all means, guys, by all means, sorry, if you get a chance, do check out American Made.
See.
All right.
Nice.
So finally, last but not least, while I clear my
Yeah.
throat, now we're moving from America and back to good old Trinidad and Tobago. Cause yeah, boy, we have to talk about that film, boy. That
Yeah.
award-winning film, a film that you actually saw today at the time of this recording, which is quite interesting. You have to talk about Green Days by the River.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Uh.
here's the thing, right? So just to start things off, I am actually familiar with the story, or I should say the book which it came from. Because for those who don't know, this is actually a film adaptation of a much beloved novel which is written by Michael Anthony. And I'm so glad that this movie actually came out when he was alive and when he was still in this country. It's not like with V.S. Naipaul where he left, years ago, and then Merchant Ivory from England decided to make the music was so down here in Trinidad, and it was just so goddamn forgettable. I actually saw it like once or twice, and I couldn't care for it at all. Um, and I actually never read the music was show, believe it or not. So yeah, I wasn't too familiar with the story. But Green Days by the River, on the other hand, I am familiar with the story. I do have an old copy of it. I actually read this back in secondary school. It was part of our literature curriculum, so we had to read it. And I remember enjoying the book. I remember certain things about it. I remember certain characters.
Yeah.
Um, so hearing that we were going to get this big budget film adaptation of it here in Trinidad in 2017 was a big
Well,
deal to me. Well,
big budget in quotes.
yeah, big budget in quotes. Reason
Yeah.
being is because this is through the lens, or should we say, the eyes of a Trinidadian himself. This is not
Yeah.
through English eyes or foreign eyes. This is
Yeah.
us telling our story.
Yeah. It's not Mystic Masu.
No, God forbid,
No. No.
it's not Mr.
Right.
Musso.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Oh boy.
And the thing
Okay.
is, well, just
Right.
well, I'll jump into a synopsis one time, but there's one thing I want to mention too. Prior to this recording here, I did a review of it for my What's It Seen
Right.
show.
Which I
And
saw.
yeah, I checked it out. I actually checked out the film on the day it opened in theaters. This was literally a day or two after it won those 2 awards at the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival. So
Right.
literally a day when the festival ended, that's when it actually came out in theaters. I saw it first screening, checked it out. I gave my thoughts on that. I'll actually put the link to it below so you can check it out later. Um, but you, Ricardo, you saw it actually today at the time of this recording here, actually like a couple of hours, before we
Right.
actually met up online here. And just to jump into the synopsis, it's pretty much this is a period piece, which is another big deal with this film here. So it's set in Miaro back in 1952, and the story centers on the character of Shelley, this Afro Trinidadian boy of
Yeah.
15 years of age. They call him Shell by nickname,
Yeah.
and he moves there with his mom and his dad. His dad, who's played by Chi Rodriguez.
Yeah.
I'll talk about him in a bit. Yeah, so he is sick. He has this serious life-threatening illness. So
Right.
they're just there, and it's basically this coming of age tale with him growing up in Miaro. His experiences there, which, well, the experiences mostly is centered on these two characters. This older, but this really cheerful Indian man by the name of Mr. Gidari, and he owns this. He owns this large property, basically this fields, this different food, crops and stuff. He owns and all that kind of stuff. So there's these sort of genuinely sweet moments, these father and son bonding moments with him,
Right.
and Shell, because Shell actually helps him out. Helps him out in that property basically, right?
Yeah.
And then there's his daughter, his Douglas daughter, named Rosalie, and as you would expect, Shell is smitten by Rosalie. She's quite attractive and stuff like that. And he wants to, to start a relationship with her, even though she may be having eyes on another guy, another Afro-Trinidadian guy who lives in the village. And then there's this other girl, this Afro-Trinidadian girl. Her name is Joan. She lives in Sangre Grande, and she actually visits every once in a while to Miaro. This is one scene where there's this dance that takes place, and they meet together there. And yeah, so basically it's this love triangle thing between Joan and Rosalie and Shell, and at the same time it's pretty much with him dealing with his dad's illness, and of course him becoming a man, basically just all these situations that he's in. By the end of the day, does he learn from them? Does he become a man at the end of the film, at the end of the story, and whatnot? So, right. So we'll just.
Yeah.
Right. So what are your thoughts on
Right.
Seeing
Right.
that you saw it fresh in your mind now?
Right. As I said, I didn't say anything yet. Yeah, this was the noblest of failures. Yes, I'll have to say that.
Nice wording there. Nice.
Yeah.
Wording.
This one, it just slightly bothered me because you could tell. Well, two or three things that just stand out to me. I don't know if you noticed it, but in my screening, some of the scenes, a lot of the scenes, in fact, had a syncing issue with the audio.
Oh, okay. Well, it didn't happen with me.
I noticed it. It was kind of noticeable for me. Like the video was a little ahead of the audio. I don't know if it's because the screen I was in, that might be the case, but I really hope that's not a product of the movie.
All right.
The actual creators of the movie.
Okay, this is stop here for a bit. It's a dumb question, right? You saw this in Movie Town, San Fernando, right?
Yes.
All right. So what I've heard is that the first ever screening that they had at Sapa, there was a syncing issue as well. There was an audio issue there, so
Right.
people did not, didn't get the proper experience there, technically,
Right.
as this was the first time they were actually seeing this film.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, no lie, when I went to see this film in the East, in Caribbean Cinemas 8,
Right.
I actually ran into the director himself, and he
Okay.
told me that he was called, that CC had actually called him because there was an issue with the audio as well. So
Okay.
maybe it's the same thing. I don't know. So he had to come
I
and
noticed.
deliver
Right. I
copy.
noticed a good handful of scenes had a slight, a slight delay in the audio, so the audio
Right.
was a little behind the video.
Yeah,
a little
but you
bit.
could tell, so it's obvious.
Yeah, it's noticeable. It's actually quite noticeable. Like, seriously, because I just directed and edited a video, and the rapper was telling me how it was, even though I didn't notice it there, he said you've seen it, and I couldn't see it as well now, so I don't know.
Oh, well, I'll confess something, right? Just a little segue. I kind of noticed it too. But
Yeah,
the thing is, though, I kind of grew to accept this now because I realize with music videos themselves, you usually get a slight sort of audio syncing issue, especially with the
Right.
with the lyrics, stuff like that. So I kind of
Right.
come to expect that anyway. So it didn't take me out of your video, which by the way is excellent.
Right.
I've seen this on screen.
Oh no! Well, the thing is, the rapper say that it's fine in the final product.
Right.
That's so. I don't know if you saying you notice it in the final product. That might be the case. So you see, that's the thing with syncing. It's something that can get thrown off by when you do a upload or a download or something like that. Now these little small little things.
Yeah, well, I wonder
But-
if it's an exporting issue. I've always
Right,
wondered.
it might be. But the thing
Yeah.
is, in the final product you see, it was fixed by then. But what I'm trying to say is that I just noticed something you don't notice, and other people might notice that kind of stuff. But I noticed it was like a big deal in this. It was like
Right.
a big delay. It wasn't
Yeah,
like a
right.
slight delay. It was like a big delay.
Okay.
Stuff in some of the scenes now. So whatever. That is a nitpick. There's not a big problem. The big problem is what you mentioned.
Uh-huh.
what you mentioned in your review.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, the weakest part of the film, the director. Some of these really bad choices in terms of like how you gotta string a bunch of bad decisions together when it comes to the shot composition and how to flow. And you mentioned like, okay, I watched your review before seeing the movie, and I was like, all right, we're talking about really long takes. So in my head, when you say a long take, I think in rules of the game long takes.
Oh, like that. Right. Where the camera moves.
Like, well, you know, usually they're real good.
Yeah.
You realize that the fucking camera that's there and then moving.
I know, right?
Static ass shots. Like, no.
Like there was one, like, there's probably like a couple scenes, right? Like there's one in particular where Mr. Goodreads talking to Shell, right? The medium shot. The camera is stuck on them. The camera is kind of tilted to the side, right? So it's not directly in front of them, and that's another issue I'll talk about, right? And then, like about 2 minutes later, before the scene actually ends, is where the camera actually pans slightly to the right, so we see him, so we see Shell in front of the camera now. And that was it. That was all for camera movement.
It's stuff right. And the main thing with the film, okay, so the film suffers from a problem that, okay, so the movie that I was immediately thinking of when watching like the first 15 or so minutes of the film was Les Miserables.
Right.
All right, and that is a kind of an example of where it's a stage play being filmed. It's not a film.
Yeah, I see.
That's the problem. So the camera wasn't moving around. I don't know why the camera wasn't moving around. I don't know if they're afraid to break the camera. I don't know. They had a big expensive camera and they're afraid to break the camera, but they just don't want to get a camera to pick up and move about.
I have my own 2 cents on that, but continue.
Right. And it was just, so it had all these really static long takes that just didn't work at all. Because the idea was to just have them fill up the frame. But again, that stage play nonsense now. Because little simple things like you see characters come into the frame and a quick close up just to highlight emotion. Little things like that, just a cut. It had a part where in the early parts of the movie, just picking oranges.
Yes.
And he does off camera, just picking oranges, and he crack an orange.
Yeah.
I was like,
and then
show the man throwing oranges and picking them now.
Right.
Like,
and there was another scene later on, but this is where he was actually trying to build tension.
Right.
Where you do see the character picking the oranges. So I was like, why only did they do that the first time when he was up in the tree?
And just the long takes, just a lot of these long takes really didn't work because it's just a long take. It's they're not doing anything with the camera interesting. The camera is hardly moving, and I was like, no, you need to cut here, cut there, and it was really frustrating. The film looked great.
Yeah, no denying.
I take that from the film. It looked great. I thought it was a little like dim, but I didn't really. That was to me what that just came across as part of the aesthetic anyway.
Right.
But I don't have a problem with that.
I know you're a man who does hate flat cinematography. So what do you think about the cinematography and just the overall look of this movie?
Yeah, look good. I had no complaints of it. Not as good as Woko Jumpy. I can't say that. But it's still pretty good. It's shot quite well. You know when you get a feeling, but I think they was kind of going for with it. At least when I saw the trailer and then I see the movie itself. You know, a lot of those old books had a kind of weird kind of art style, and I kind of got the sense that they're trying to mimic that.
Right.
You know, when you watch the covers, some of these old books, especially these old Trinity books, it had these weird art styles. Some of the covers of those books.
Yes.
Especially when they republish them now. That's how I kind of saw this. And so I don't really have an issue with that. It looked good. It's shot well in that sense. Nice color, black skin. I'm a big sucker for black skin. You can't go wrong with that.
Me too.
And yeah, it does. Just the biggest problem in the movie was just cutting stuff together. And then at the end of the film, I saw the film didn't seem to have an editor. What it had was a director and a producer doing the edit.
Yes, that is true. That's true. Mr. Bonida is the editor of the film. That kind of says a lot right here.
And producer of the film is also the editor. That's a red flag right there. Yeah, this just didn't gel together at all. It did a lot right, and I suppose it was one of those loyal to the book kind of scenarios because a lot of shit in the book I really couldn't remember. So I didn't take the time to go read back the book or anything like that. I was like, all right, I kind of remember this from high school.
Yeah, me too. I didn't have time to read over that film.
Yeah, I didn't fight on to say, oh, did this happen in the book? But it's just whether or not
something like this. You don't need that. This is not Harry Potter or Twilight or whatever. This is not that.
Whatever. Yeah. I didn't fight that down, and I don't fight on the coils. And all I had to do is just get the logistics and the timing right. It's 1952 Trinidad. This is what 1952 Trinidad looked like. They got a lot of that right, I thought. Stuff like cocoa picking, pacing out. They had good music. I assume it was Freetown Collective. Good song like Freetown Collective.
Yeah, there were a couple of tracks from them actually.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it just, this just didn't gel together at all. Mostly because it just, in my opinion, just by far the weakest part from the bad direction. Overall, it just couldn't get our camera to move. They just didn't want to pick shots. I get a feeling because it seemed to be like they had one camera, so it wasn't they couldn't cut reasonably well or didn't have enough footage to cut together. So that's a big issue right there. And because they didn't want to move around the damn camera, I had a big problem with that as well. I had some issues with that. And but the story itself was supposed to float fine enough. The ending was just a kind of flat ending because they kind of this shotgun a cutlass wedding, I should say. Kind of happened at the end there. And this just didn't work for me at all. It's not the worst thing ever. It's not as bad as Marshall's film. It's not it's not as bad as Moho Jumbie or anything like that. I'll probably put it even higher than because she movie with Cutlass. I'll put it higher than that, but still. This fell flat for me though. Jeez, boy. Mostly because of the bad direction. And they say these long things that just didn't serve a purpose at all or didn't work at all. That camera had to move about it.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, for me, just to reiterate a couple of things I said in the in my video review, I really praise the visuals though. The visuals in this were excellent. They were amazing. They really do highlight the beauty of Trinidad. Just from a visual standpoint. The acting for the most part was decent. I still see the two main characters who blew me away, or the actors, the characters, whatever. With the Mr. Giddery and Shell's dad, who is played by Che Rodriguez.
They were fine. I don't have any issue with the acting overall. Some of the dialogue fell flat. Mostly, I thought Rose, the actress who played Rose, she delivered her lines kind of badly. I thought that sometimes.
Well, I would say, alright, the thing is with her and especially Shell, they are first-time actors, so you can kind of tell, especially with her in particular.
Well, the thing is because the actor plays Shell, I don't know the actor's name. He has a great look. He totally looks like somebody from My Hero in 1952.
Right.
He had his body and especially his physique. He had a really, really kind of really skinny-looking physique, slightly malnourished kind of physique. No?
Yeah, so as you say that, I just remember this joke. I think somebody actually said it on Facebook somewhere. Oh, the actress who plays Rosalie, was she Indian? She not Douglas?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, they could have. I suppose they could have took the effort to kind of cast somebody a little more mixed. But she was fine. It's fine. I don't really have a problem with that. But but she look entirely Indian though. You're right.
Yeah, she does.
But I'd probably fight up to try to cast somebody more mixed race, but if they can't find somebody, you can't do anything about that.
Exactly.
I don't really have an issue with it. But just it didn't pace itself out very well. It had a reasonably coherent story because the book is fine. You follow the book. This didn't work at all, Jared.
Right. Well, this was to say about this positive wise though. Well, okay. So I mentioned acting. I mentioned visuals. The music I thought was great as well. The actual score fit, I should say, not so much the songs were good, but the score was I thought was decent enough. I like the balance with it because at some points it would be dark and really like foreboding, and at other points it'd be kind of cheerful, not whimsical, but cheerful, nice, pleasant to the ear, that kind of thing. I thought that was cool.
Right.
So it really shows that they're really focusing on actually making a top-notch film now.
Right. I mean, I can't in good conscience say this was half-assed or anything like that. An effort was made.
There was effort.
Right, but clearly didn't go above and beyond the Call of Duty when it comes to like translation of a book. No, that's the thing with books. Books is something you almost always fuck up. I realize that. Classic example is probably Great Gatsby. They tried that like 3 times already, and every time they mess it up.
Exactly.
It's common mediocre. So it's something that you can't really translate that well unless it's like sci-fi or fantasy, which is like more or less very clear descriptions of what they're trying to tell you. For the most part.
Right.
But they could. Go ahead.
I know you're gonna repeat yourself again. But in terms of story itself, right?
Yeah.
Like, if I hadn't read the book, if I wasn't familiar with anything with the book,
Right.
I would have walked out of this thing being like, the story was kind of meadow, you know?
Yeah. It's a pretty flat story. I mean, look, again, Trinidadian literature is something that fluctuates in terms of like popularity, though, and quality. And this was kind of, to me, on the lower end of things. It's a book I really kind good conscience remember, but it's one of those, because it's such a great slice of life story of Trinidad. It's well praised, and because it's the strength of the book. The one thing I remember about the book is the strength of the prose of the book. That's why I would argue it probably they had some trouble translating it, because it's a very prose heavy book.
Yes.
For the most part, I mean,
you're right.
Some literature nerd will probably say, "Oh no, it was actually quite simple and straightforward." But I'm not one of those. I remember it being very prose heavy.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Well, you're right though, because if you actually do read the book, I actually skimmed it through after watching the movie. Actually, shame on me, I know. It is written from the perspective of the writer himself now.
Yeah.
So because he's talking from his perspective, you get
Right.
more more depth here now. But here, it's more kind of implied of certain things now.
Right.
Of how characters act, or how the protagonist reacts to certain things, especially the kind of stuff that happens to him in the film now. But overall, when you take away all that, it's just there. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying the story is terrible.
That's one of the problems. That's one of the problems.
Yeah, that was it. Okay.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems, that you had to translate the mood, and you didn't get that at all, because the thing is, characters supposed to react to little statements and then little foreboding discussions and so on. But you're just hearing them say like, okay, while they're coming on to the end of the movie is when Mr. Gadari started complaining about black people leaving, not going with a woman and not marry them. And he's bitching.
That.
And they could have cut again a quick cut to
to Shell. Who was in the same. He was in the frame, but
and they decide to move the camera
spot
across, right, as you mentioned
like
that.
Right after the guy finished
and it's
talking, like why?
Yeah, that's cut.
And that to me is the biggest problem here, because here's my thing, right? And this is no way an insult to Molinda or anybody else, but to me, I just felt that this whole artistic quote unquote decision to frame your shots like in one way and then keep it like that and do little to no camera movement.
Yeah, that's
it just kind
a
of
huge
felt to
problem.
me like he was kind of flexing his muscles a bit, like, ooh, look at me with my camera, and I'm gonna be all like groundbreaking with this movie, boy. Because like I said in my review, this to me, if I'm not mistaken, this is actually the first time I have seen the attempt of long takes ever in a local movie. I know it's amazing, right? So cool if you have the right actors to pull it off, the right camera to pull it off, the right sets to pull it off, and they do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But
that's the thing with this. They could, if they had a bigger set, they could look like another example. They could have sat down with like, okay, the what is where the dance or the party? I forget the name of it.
The school dance, the school
right.
fair,
I forget it. But that is a scene they could have sit down and have the camera bouncing about now.
Yes.
Nope.
I'll talk about that. I'll talk about framing of certain shots just now.
Yeah, didn't do that either.
Right.
Another thing is the part when he was getting drunk too. Again, wasted opportunity. We know he getting drunk. Yes, we seen him drinking, but again, you have to visit your language now.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it just as I said, the movie really reminds me of, off the top of my head, I think is Les Mis now. It's not a movie. It's just a film play, played out in 3 dimensions now.
Yeah.
But it's not a movie. That's different. There's a distinction.
But even with Les Mis, it was a musical, so you can't just have a camera static. You have to move about.
You have to move that about, yeah. And that's why Les Mis suffered now for me now. I mean, that's the Anne Hathaway crying scene. That's it. That's the only strength of that. Everything else was nonsense.
That's the only thing I remember from that movie. Oh, yeah. And sorry, Will Russell Crowe trying to sing.
Yeah,
Hugh Jackman singing a loaf of bread. That's like the old thing.
Right. But that's the whole point. It's just it really felt like I was watching a stage play being filmed in a good setting.
Yeah.
But at no point I got the sense of proper film technique or visual language.
It's a film at the end of the day, right?
Flat.
It's a film, right? So let's continue, right? So to me it kind of felt like flexing muscle and like showing off, and like I'm gonna attempt these great shots here, and it's gonna be so awesome that I don't even have to move the camera jet. It's gonna keep it so because the cast is great and the cinematography is great, and it's like that. But still, like, take perfect example. Take Breaking Bad for example, right? Any episode of Breaking Bad has excellent cinematography, right?
Yeah.
And every once in a while, you might get like a nice little wide shot or a long take every once in a while, especially in building tension, right? I'll talk about tension in a bit, right? But even with the great panoramic shots, right? Like, you remember those scenes when Walter and the other people, whoever involved, would meet in the desert? You always get like this excellent wide shot of the desert, right?
Yeah.
Now imagine if a whole scene was just this wide shot of him and four other people talking in the desert. That wouldn't throw you off. And then, like I
Right.
said in my review, even if you don't know anything about film editing, right?
Yeah.
You would see a scene like this play out for like 2 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And,
Way too long.
and sometimes the camera might be even be straight in front of them. It might be in front of them, so you wouldn't see, the reactions or the faces of the people involved in the conversation scene and whatnot. And by the way, yes, most of these scenes are dialogue heavy scenes. They mostly involve characters speaking, right? But in the back of your mind, even if you don't know anything about editing, you'd be asking yourself, okay, so why can't I see the reaction shot of the other person, or why can't I see
Right.
another
Exactly.
shot?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I was watching this thing, I was asking myself, like, probably like 10 minutes, and I realized, okay, I'll keep on asking, but I'm not gonna get. They're clearly not gonna do this thing. This is the artistic choice. I have to live with this, or I have to suffer through it. But still, no attempt at it, except when scenes actually get tense, and that's like around near the end where oh gosh, where you see Mr. Gittery actually lazy smackdown, quote unquote, on on Shelner, That's
Yeah.
the only scene where I saw they actually attempted,
Right.
normal edited the. But
Right.
everything else, well, mostly everything else is just camera is static.
Yeah.
A character might be out of focus or might be out of the frame,
Right. Yeah. They talk.
and
Yeah.
just talking, and then we just cut to probably another shot or another scene.
Right.
One scene in particular perfectly embodies this. And like when this is probably within the end of the second act, and I was looking at it. I was like, dude, this is awkward shit. It is when Mr. Gittery. This is right after where Shell goes back home and he's talking to his father, right?
Right.
Nice medium shot, right? You're seeing both parties, see both of them in the frame, the camera in front of them. It looks great, right? The next shot is Mr. Gittery from outside talking, like, hey, how you going, so. The camera is on Mr. Gittery, right? So you see him from outside in the window. You're not even seeing Shell's father. You might see like a part of him, like an A or something. So you're not even seeing Shell's father.
They did this like weird right close up. They did that. No, they did that a lot throughout the film. Like
I
they
know,
had this.
but in that one scene, I was like,
Yeah.
dude,
It was
at
annoying.
least in here you could have cut next shot now. Why
Right.
did they do that for? You know what I mean? But yeah, to me, I couldn't help but think this was just the director just showing off. It just kind of felt like gimmicky to me now. But like I said in my review, there has to be a reason for these for the framing of these shots to be like that. You can't just do it because I want to attempt long takes. Nobody ever attempt long takes, so I go to attempt long takes. I gotta have the camera and it'll be so revolutionary, man. No, there has to be a reason for it.
But the thing with long takes, again, the thing with long takes for me is that shit had to be moving about. That is my thing with a long take. It had to be one
happening.
Stuff had to be happening now.
Especially if it's tension, if it's building tension.
Or little things like they throw, in the beginning when they was looking for mango and the mango ripe or nothing like that, he throw a stone, it didn't cut to the stone, throw it to hit the mango. It's like, do little things like that. They just had them four of them just talking and laughing and telling jokes and fighting. You see two of them fighting in the background. It's alright. Well, cut to the two of them fighting quick, 2 seconds.
Something,
whatever.
Anyway, just a few more things before. Just a couple more things before we get to actual rating, right? And you're right. Just like even a slow zoom, something like that. A slow pushing could help.
Yeah, they did a couple of those little tracking moments for the shots. It's like, okay, I saw that. All right, fine.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Right. And just finally, because we could talk all night about the flaws. The historical aesthetic of it, right? Now, okay.
Right.
Now, how you said the big budget thing should have been in air quotes, right?
Right.
You could tell that they were working around, certain budgetary
Well,
stuff.
it's only once it was genuinely noticeable. That is when he had to go to Port of Spain. So like,
Yes,
all right,
yes, I want to talk about that.
We couldn't see some big Game of Thrones revitalization of Port of Spain back in 1952. That not happening.
Yeah.
Way too expensive. But
right. So you're
right.
You're right.
A close up of Tallmeyer's great.
Yeah,
there's enough. There's enough.
You're right. There was that one scene, but I'll talk about that scene after this one here. So the entirety, of that whole school dance scene, right?
Right.
You notice how tight those scenes were, right? You
right.
notice you didn't get like a proper wide shot or established shot of the actual school or where it's set, so everything is all tight now. So it felt a little too contained. You didn't get a full sense of the environment where they are, and even with the characters, the background, who are mostly blurred and stuff like that, right? As one. Another scene before I forget was this bar scene, right? Oh gosh, that took place during Christmas Day. I was like, okay, right. In a bar, can we hear music, people drinking, but I'm not seeing the bar. And it's only near the end of that sequence where you see the wide shot of the bar, but that was just to show Rosalie coming into the frame and staring menacingly inside. I was like, all right, but why are they couldn't show the bar as I establish the shot? Also, that when Shell gets drunk. Right. Yes, I know they're working around certain things, but when you have that scene tight now, it just made it feel kind of awkward now, kind of amateurish as well.
My thing is, again, you don't have it. I don't mind it being tight, but you had to just cut to the side or cut. Make a cut, a different angle, please.
Yeah, just a different angle so we could see characters' reactions,
Yeah.
And that was it. And I felt that, because you had to take this really daunting task, of adapting this book, which is pretty much spoken from, first person narrative now.
Yeah.
And you don't have a narrator to do this thing, so you have to show the reactions of these people, or especially from the character. But when you have your shots composted in such a way that you can't even see these characters, it just, I don't know, I can't relate it. And then finally, now before we get to ratings, that whole Port of Spain scene, like, for one thing, before I forget, there's some slow-mo shots in this way. They look good, but there's quite a lot of slow-mo shots here.
Yeah, there's a lot of slow-mo, kind of pointless slow-mo too.
Yeah, kind of pointless slow-mo.
Some it worked, some it didn't work. And it had, like, again, something about, I don't know what it is with Trinidad and having our music video in the middle of the movie,
like the whole Coco scene thing.
Right.
Yeah, that dragged on. But
I almost always hate that. I mean, it's going almost always too long. Now, it wasn't as egregious as Marshall movie.
Oh,
but
no, but that scene literally felt like a 4-minute music video.
Right, it stopped the movie dead for that. Yeah, I really goddamn hate that. Whatever.
But like, I know they're working around certain things, but God, man. Did we need like a 2-minute scene of... Did we need like a 2-minute scene of Shell and Joan walking in slow-mo? And I expected some big reveal of the city. We don't even get that. It just kind of crosses off to another shot of them talking about, that looking real good, or this is the best view of the city, and I love you, and all them kind of thing. Like, come on. You're making it so apparent like all they did not have the right or the necessary location. But oh gosh, don't make it so blatantly apparent now. Come on. You're not done.
Whatever. Yeah, stuff like that I don't mind. Look, you had no budget, whatever, fine.
Yeah, but we're getting a little bit smarter now. That's all I have to say. I don't know. I mean, it's, again, you had to think of all these extra things and juggle all these blah blah blahs and the usual production management shenanigans you had to go through and hoops you had to jump through. Yeah, so I expected some CG Port of Spain in 1952.
When you say that's budget, all of that is dollar bills racking up now. And as from what I understand, they had some issues with money and whatever.
Yeah, which we would not get into. But rated, what would you give this movie here?
Boy.
Be honest, be real.
Yeah, no, yeah. As I said, noblest of failures. I'll give it a straight CC8. Not a low CC8. I had a lot of problems with it. But it still did a lot right for the most part. And since, again, somebody could correct me whether or not how loyal it was to the book. I have no idea. A couple friends told me it was very loyal to the book, and I suppose they know better than me. I'm not going to check it myself or care. But just give it a straight CC8. This is still the, as they say, the quote-unquote win by default kind of movie now. It's better than Cutlass, in my opinion.
It's more ambitious than Cutlass.
More ambitious, and a lot of it worked, and because it had some decent acting, but some bad acting too. And yeah, as I said, by far the weakest thing in this was the directing. The directing was by far the weakest, not even like close. Everything else was done right, and the directing was just a lot of he strung up, in my opinion, a lot of bad decisions when it comes to the directing. Because all of that static shots just didn't work at all. That just came across like filler, and you really need to have that camera. Like, look, I know you have a big fancy camera, but yeah, I know you're afraid for it to mash up, but nah, boy. You had that thing move about, Jed. Sorry.
You know? You have a camera, Jed. Come on, do a couple of, some reaction shots there. I mean, you have the camera. Right. You can do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to string along a whole bunch of long takes just for the sake of it.
It really feel like a one camera show. That's what the entire time I was just thinking. I was like, how much cameras on set now? It's one.
But still,
they had to have this thing about whatever. But yeah, that is my rating, not the worst rating. So it's a straight CC. It's nothing too bad. I don't hate this completely. As I said, ambitious, but it just kind of didn't make it, in my opinion.
Right. Okay. Well, that's fair. For me, I still hold true to my rating for What's the Scene. I am giving this a very light 3 out of 5 stars.
Right.
It is, I don't want to say it's an achievement, but it from that movie alone, and of course with like Cutlass, I think it does prove that we do have the capability to make visually competent films, stuff that look good, but at the end of the day, you still have to make films that have longevity, that have purpose, that have reason. And I'll just use this quote that somebody close to me said when he saw Cutlass. It's like, yeah, the show looked good and all that kind of stuff, but is this a movie I'm gonna watch again? Probably not, because once you see it, you kind of don't want to see it again. And I kind of have to say the same thing here for this movie here. Like, it looked really good, shot very well and everything like that, but this is really not a show I'm gonna see myself watching again in a hurry. And there's a couple of things included. I'm kind of worried for this movie here, in it being in cinema, and just after it stops showing in theaters, because this movie is kind of a, I can't even say it's kind of, it is an art film, Jed. It is. Oh really?
I didn't get that at all. I thought it was a film. It wasn't like, at no point I got the experimental arty-farty stuff. It was fine.
To me, had a kind of art vibe going for it. But still, even if it is art, or even if it is an art film or not, you still had to have a reason for your shots and just things to play out the way they do in your film.
Right.
It can't just be, well, I have a camera, this is what I can do. Ooh, look what I can do. You have to deliver more than that.
Right.
So what I say is an art film. Like, I imagine people who just probably just have their head up their own asses, like, well, look at how amazing this is.
No, I refuse to, and again, it'll be quite depressing to see if there are people defending the film in that way.
Yeah. Even
that kind of obscurantist nonsense.
You cannot tell me that decision, that visual decision.
Yeah, that's a bad
can't
call.
tell me that. No.
That is kind of backward nonsense. Sorry.
Exactly.
I'm not a big fan of that. Whatever.
Yeah,
but for
still,
me.
Yeah, but still though, I would recommend that you give it a look. If those flaws are apparently you, and if they took you out of the film, then you would understand how I felt. But if they didn't, if you still got the gist of the story, then props to you. And I'm not saying it's a terrible movie, but I just felt that, like I said in my review, it could have been style and substance meshed together instead of style over substance. And that's what I felt, because I was trying to concentrate on the story, but it's just all those kind of stylistic shots just took me out of it. And I felt for something like this, something based on a book that is so widely revered anyway, there was no need for that. But still, I wouldn't say that this is a forgettable film. We are showing signs that we could actually make great films, but we just need to focus on actually make.
To be clear, this is a step in the right direction. I mean,
I mean, I'm
glad that this was ultimately. I'm glad this was made. I was a little disappointed in it ultimately, but mostly because it's just kind of a squandered opportunity. It's like, oh, you could have done this instead of that. Whatever, small thing. But it's not like I hated this, or it's like, oh, this was a hot piece of shit like Marshall movie or anything like that.
And in my case, it's not like I give up on
exactly. It wasn't like that kind of level of depression. Because with Marshall movie, I was like, wow, they royally fucked that up now compared to this. This was fine.
And on the subject of that, we saw this last year. We saw that movie last year,
Yeah.
and roughly about a year from roughly a year that we've seen this film, and it doesn't really hold up though. Like,
What?
no, I talk about Pasadena. Like, it's not a show that we could look
It
back
don't
and
hold
be
up at all.
like,
It didn't hold up then.
yeah, boy. I still remember how great this show was. No, it kind of doesn't hold up at all. You know what I mean? And
When
I've
you
seen a
hold up,
lot.
it didn't hold up then. Hold up has to mean that it was good at a point. It was never good.
Okay, you're right. So it does not hold up.
Yeah,
at
hold
all.
up. It have no hold up. Hold up means I liked it at a point. Nope.
Yeah,
Complete
I mean, I
nonsense.
was feared because
No,
I was
Rob.
on the whole escapism kind of thing. But
No.
yeah, that show don't hold out. This one, I kind of hope that it does. I hope that people actually check it out.
Right.
And
No,
not just
the thing
talk
is-
about
the
it
thing
and
is-
say it
the
look
thing
good.
is, if anything, I would like them to go back in the edits and see if they can make this work a little better and rehaul
but
it.
I kind of
And then-
doubt that'll happen though. It might be
Yeah,
like,
because
this
kind
was
of
the
done
choice.
already and whatever. You
Yeah,
don't
this
point
is the
out.
choice, whatever. But
Right. So
the
they
reason
stick
why,
with that. What?
right? But the reason why I was saying about the whole art film thing is because I'm worried about how just the longevity of this film. Like,
Yeah.
because
Well,
I know we the last thing on our minds is home media and actually marketing and distributing the film. Not in cinemas, but talking about like on home
Right,
media.
whatever. That's up to other people. Because I see all kind of extra bullshit getting sell anyway. Whatever.
Yeah, but
I don't care about
still, will this have an audience in the long
Probably.
run? I don't
Okay.
know. Because
I just
Yes, it's
judging it
based
by
on a
I
book.
just judging it by my workable quality or
yeah, I understand. But I
Right.
mean, like, yes, it's based on a book, but there has to be more than it's based on a book. So that's why it's gonna it's gonna stand the test of time. So I don't know. We'll see. But for now, yeah, like 3 out of 5.
right.
See, it's you may like it more than we do, but yeah, those flaws,
Right.
but those flaws just
It
took
didn't
us
work
out,
for
man.
me.
Sorry.
Right. See.
All right. So
Yeah.
Ricardo, where can we find you online, man?
Passat. You could find me RMEDDY at RMEDdy on Twitter, and then type in Ricardo Medina on Facebook. You can find me there.
All right.
I may not friend you on Facebook. Facebook is a crapshoot, but if you check me on Twitter, I'll more than likely connect with you.
Cool. All right. Well, you could also find me on Twitter. Just look for Legally Black MGB, in capital letters. I, for one, kind of frequent Facebook, so you can also find me on Facebook. Just look for my name, Achibili, as well as a Legally Black official fan base, where you find a link to this podcast here, as well as the ones that we have done before, and of course, my
Right.
written reviews. And also, like I said, in the description below, you can check out my Was to See review for Green Days by the River. And, feel free to share your thoughts on that film if you have
Right.
seen it, call us out if you want to, but, those are just our thoughts on the film. So take it
No,
on.
yeah, I mean this wasn't like it wasn't a takedown or anything like that. Because at no point, again, I'd like to compare it to the ass water that was Basudi.
Water, lol.
yeah. It was just this was a solid effort. I can't really complain or say the way this was a hot mess or anything like that. It wasn't like with Boko Jumbi where clearly there's like a second draft edit or anything like that.
Right,
It's just it's fine. It was fine, and it's
Yeah.
a step in the right direction. So I'd like to see whatever next big book they're gonna do. Get that
I would
done
love
right.
to see Miguel Street.
Miguel
that was
Street,
one of my
right.
favorite.
House of Mr. Biswell.
That is my favorite V.S. Naipaul book.
Right,
Yeah.
Miguel Street thing.
Also,
For me,
Mr. Biswell's would be great to see on big screen.
with his Rising Sun, I think.
A Brighter Sun. Yes,
Brighter Sun,
I would
as
love
well.
to see a Brighter Sun because
Brighter Sun,
that was
right.
part of my curriculum as well.
Right.
I've
So
always
yeah,
remembered that.
just
book.
because I have a bunch of big books that pretty much anybody with this salt in Trinidadian literature should know. And yeah, just try to get this done and see what they could do with it.
All right, totally agree, man.
Yeah.
All right, so stuff to look forward to. So first off, this week at the time of this recording, we will be experiencing Blade Runner 2049.
Yes.
I'm going to make sure to see this in glorious IMAX. I am excited as hell for this. Right now, my number one slot of best movies of the year is War for the Planet of the Apes, but I am willing to bump that down to number 2. I just put Blade Runner there on top because I just have a feeling that this is going to be the best movie of the year. But
Right.
it is just based off of all the ridiculously large praise that this movie has been getting, even though
Right.
the movie hasn't come out as yet. A lot of critics.
Yeah,
were
again,
praising this movie.
decent hype. I am
Yeah.
I am not that excited over this, frankly, because mostly because it's like yeah, Blade Runner as a sequel is largely unnecessary, but is Denis Villeneuve, so there you
Yeah,
go.
exactly,
On
exactly.
board. And then well they did a bunch of like these shorts in between, and all of them really good. They did
Yeah.
recently. They did this kick-ass thing with the guy who did Cowboy Bebop, a nice
Yeah,
little anime.
Shinichiro Watanabe,
Yeah,
sorry.
like well would. All right,
Yeah,
and it was good.
I actually like how he took references
Yeah,
from the original film. I thought
yeah,
that was great as
with
well.
the dubs and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So on the
badass.
subject of that, we're gonna talk about those three shorts. We're gonna review Blade Runner 2049, and we're also gonna do a retrospective review of the film that started all Blade Runner, right?
Right,
Because of course you have to watch the first film to really get into this new one here.
right,
And I really want to talk about how it was able to, the legacy now. How this film when it came out was like this, critical failure, but over the years it just became this masterwork. This great sci-fi film.
right.
But one thing I want to question though, not now, but when we actually do the review, is it really deserving of that position in the AFI's list as one of the greatest movies of all time though?
What?
That's one thing that I always kind of question, because I mean, as a sci-fi movie, it's great, it's a masterpiece, but is it one of the greatest movies of all time though? I don't know. We'll see.
Oh,
Also, I did not get around to watching Gerald's Game. That's the Stephen King film adaptation that aired on Netflix. It came out
right,
the Friday before time is recording, but so I'll make sure that I'll make the effort to go see that and share my thoughts on that.
right.
Also, we're supposed to be getting animated series from Netflix called Big Mouth.
Okay,
Actually been hearing some really cool things about that. The premise of it is quite intriguing. It's about this girl going through puberty, so it's like all the dark
right,
times that
right.
one
I'll
faces
probably
when they
make the
get
effort to watch
older.
that.
Especially when their body matures and all that kind of stuff. So
No
it's a
problem.
pretty interesting premise. I'm curious to see how they play that out.
Right.
Also, Mother, can't wait to see that. I
Yes.
know you have to wait a couple of weeks to see that, but I'm really excited
Yeah,
to
very
see
hype.
that.
I'm very hyped for that as well.
Very hyped for that. I one that I didn't mention last week, Snowman. I
Right.
finally saw the trailer for that. It looks creepy as hell, but I'm loving it. I'm loving those visuals. They really stick out to me. I don't know anything about the story itself, but maybe in time I'll probably glimpse at the synopsis so I could really determine whether it's worth checking out or not.
Right.
Um, Geostorm. Not too sure about Geostorm. The first trailer
Okay.
looked really ridiculous. I was like,
Don't
we're
don't
really doing
fucking care.
this. I mean, didn't we cover this ground already with The Day After Tomorrow and 2012, which I actually like as a guilty pleasure movie, by the way. Why are we doing this now? Come on, especially with what's going on with Hurricane Maria and the aftermath and all that jazz. But anyway, that's another talk for another time. And well, last but certainly not least, at the time of this recording here, it's October 1st. So yeah,
Okay.
30 days until Halloween, and
Right.
so all I would just say at the moment, guys, is that we have a Halloween sort of thing that we want to do with the subsequent episodes leading up to Halloween. We're not gonna tell you what it is as yet, but with the next episode, we pretty much will fill you in. But all we just say basically is that we want to review at least one horror film that we could call classic. It could be like classic as in true classic, or it could be like schlocky, so bad it's good classic, or it could be like just downright awful classic. So with our in the next podcast, you'll know for sure where we're getting at. All right,
Right.
that's pretty much about it. So once again, guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whenever you listen to this. This was Matthew Bailey,
Ricardo Medina.
and we are signing off from another episode of Bears Beats Bailey. So until the next one, take care, guys. Peace. Yeah.
Yep.